could do what Brian does. We are live. No, I think he copyrighted. Hey, this is Joe Ferrara, and welcome to the live. And everybody's talking, so we need to be quiet so we can hear it. I gotta be the teacher. So just welcome to our live. This is our first live that we're doing from the classroom, and glad that you are here. We know that's in the middle of the day and that's hard for people to get on here, but we're just glad that we're able to have these breeders here. You're going to hear from them in a second. Kingdom Pythons is a project that's in All Saints Episcopal School in Fort Worth. And we basically, you can see our setup there in the back. The kids are getting their snakes ready to present the girls to you, and then we'll go through the males. But we've been doing this now. This is will be our second breeding season. And if you want to hear more about what we're doing in the classroom, make sure you check out Brian, what's his last name? Brian Rivera, Balling with Brian on YouTube, and check his video out. We were just on there last week and kind of went through everything that we do, the way we approach stuff. Also, Adam from Proper Royals has we did a recorded kind of session. So if you go to his channel, you'll be able to check out more about us. But we're going to start here with the breeders introducing themselves. We've got some great people here, a great span of knowledge that hopefully we're going to gain from them and kind of add to our final plans for breeding for next year. So I think we're going to do Earl first. He's right here, and then we'll go Ray, and then Mark, and then Emilio, right?
Hey guys, I'm Earl with Lone Star Reptiles. I'm in Alvarado, Texas. I've been working with animals for right at 40 years. I've been breeding ball pythons now for about 20. Just loving life. Met up with this crew here. I think what they're doing is incredible. Especially getting to see these younger generation get into these animals. I mean, that's what it's all about, is education. And face it, I mean, without them, we're not here because they're the future of what we do. So it's amazing to see, and the passion in these girls' face. The young man, when I walked in here and started seeing the passion, it's incredible. So hats off to you, Joseph, for doing what you're doing with these kids.
All right, what's up, guys? I'm Ray Becker from Alluring Serpents, and I'm here in Florida. And I've liked animals my whole life, all different kinds, furry and scaly. And I started collecting ball pythons 7 years ago, and then I started really getting into the nitty-gritty of everything as far as breeding and projects and what that looks like about 3 years ago. So just getting started. I'm a little fish in a big pond, but I feel good to be here, and I'm excited.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, everybody. My name is Mark from 403 Fauna. I'm a chemistry and biology teacher here in San Diego, California. And I've been teaching for 22 years now, and I've always had reptiles in the classroom. In fact, my first ball python was a classroom pet. I currently have one classroom pet ball python, and of course the turtle back here, pig-nosed turtle. And my first run through of ball pythons was about 10 years ago. Then I got out, but I'm back in, and I'm currently on my third season back and have been producing some pretty cool stuff. And it's an honor to be with you guys here. I'm excited for the show. I'm only going to be here for about 30 more minutes, but I appreciate being here for that time.
Thank you.
Well, how you doing, guys? It's an honor to be with you as well. First off, I want to give a shout out to all the teachers out there in America. I mean, you guys are so special and so important to us. I've been breeding and loving ball pythons for 16 years now. It's my passion. It's one of the biggest aspects of my life. And I'm very happy to be here with you guys and talk ball pythons and share my passion, all our passions with, the classroom, the kids. I'm very excited about this.
Awesome. All right. So
I'm done. Yeah.
That's good stuff right there.
So I just figured out how to put the comment on the screen. See that? How I did that? You just hit like the star on there. Yeah, we're learning this, so we're all transparent here on how to do this. Now, how to get that off, I don't know. But
good. Doing good, Joe.
There you go. All right. Good job. Good job. All right. So, like I said, we're going to start introducing the ladies and the gentlemen. I guess there's all ladies holding snakes today. The guys are the tech guys in the back, but they're going to introduce themselves as well. Okay, at the end. Wait till everybody else goes, and then you guys go. Okay. So what they're going to do is, again, they're going to bring forward the females, so you can check your list to make sure you have these on there. And if you have a question about one that I might have forgot to make the form for it, so just go ahead and let me know, and we can get those snakes out as well. Right? So, ladies, who's going first? Go ahead. All right.
I'm Sophia Parker. I'm a senior, and this is my first year in the club. This is one of our females. This is Rosie. She's a piebald. She's 1,800 grams and was born 2020 August. We paired her with Thorin last season, but she didn't lay, so we're planning on pairing her with Aragorn, and we acquired her from a keeper. And that's her.
That's beautiful.
Can you guys, what is Aragorn exactly? I didn't use the pet names.
Oh yeah. So Aragorn is the visual blade clown, and so and Thorin is a visual piebald, and so the plan last year was just to make a bunch of visuals. So we were going to put that piebald with together. So this year they're thinking of some other ways of doing this, maybe getting into the double head like that pairing would be.
It's a good idea.
You want to go?
Okay. I'm Sloan McIver, and I'm a freshman, and this is Galadriel. We purchased her from Vision Quest Reptiles. She was born July of 2021. She is a lavender albino blackhead with a little pied, and she is around 1,150 grams, and she is our star for the Dreamsicle project, paired with Dumbledore. So
Nice.
Dan's my buddy. That's awesome. Vision Quest.
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah. He was some beautiful snakes, and that snake, that snake is one of the ones. So we have some that are on the border. So some of these snakes, like the ones that Ray said, he went 1,000 grams up. We have some like Precious, you'll see, who is like at 850, 800, 850. So we're looking, all right, will we be able to get her up to snuff, maybe 1,000, 1,100 grams by maybe January, February, and Claire. So what do you think about that kind of approach with some of our younger kind of not as calm way of doing it?
Who wants to go first there?
Mark, what about you? What do you think?
When I first started back in the early 2000s, the rule of thumb was 1,200 grams, and I know now it's kind of moved up to 1,500. I don't mind pairing, and if they go, they go, and if they don't, they don't. Usually they can regulate themselves, so I say go for it. Give it a shot.
All right. For me, I would be mainly concerned about age. If she was 1,100 grams at 3 or 4 years old, maybe even 5 years old, because you have females like that, I would definitely go. But if she's just to keep it real with some of the people out there, because there are people watching as well, if this girl's young, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, if she's really young, I wouldn't do that. But that's me.
So you would wait. So if it came around January, February, and she was up to 1,300 grams.
I mean, if it depends on age, because even at that gram weight, the younger she is, the less odds that she'll go. So
how would be the?
I don't know if Earl agrees with that, but
24 to 36 months. I mean, once they hit 2 years old, then I start looking at weight. If they're underweight at 2 years old, but I have enough animals where I can pass on one, and I've got 6 more just like it.
I agree. Yeah.
if you've got, like you've got one female and this is your one project, if you can get her to like 1,500 grams and she's over 2 years old, go for it.
Yeah, but he
you
said
also gotta
1,500.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
You also got to understand is, a young female, I mean, I have seen females go in a year and be over 2,000 grams. That's not common, but it happens. But I've also got females that are 5 years old and they're 2,000 grams and they won't do anything.
Right.
So age is one of the most important things. Not, everybody wants to talk about the size. In the wild, these animals are opportunistic feeders. They don't usually get real big in the wild. And so we're looking at the wrong thing. It's the age is the most important to me as well. I mean, I agree with Emilio on that. 2 years or better, I mean, but you can gauge the animal too. I mean, you just got an ultrasound, you got her at 1,500 grams and she's building, hit her. But
there's one more, when Earl's done, there's one more thing I want to add to that. The smaller the girl is, the smaller your eggs are going to be and the smaller the clutch is going to be. Yep. So unless you have a phenomenal feeding system, that girl is not going to grow and get even bigger the following subsequent, it's going to take her a while to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So those are things to take into consideration. If she's small, she's going to give you small eggs, thin eggs, small babies that are going to need extra care, and it's going to be a smaller clutch. Those are things sometimes people don't think about.
Let me add something to that, because about 15, 16 years ago, I had a lady call me and she said, man, I just had a clutch of eggs. We incubated them, but I don't know how to sex them. I don't even know what they are. Can you come by and help? And so I went over there to sex the animals, and this lady had 7 animals in one big aquarium. They said they had a pastel that had bred with a pinstripe. That's what I was told was the parent. That's what they saw locked up. Well, they also had a leopard pied in the mix, and they had some other stuff in there. And so they had one pinstripe and 3 normals. Well, I took all the normals, and I took the breeder female that produced those eggs. I purchased her. At that time, she was 708 grams, and she had just laid a 4-egg clutch, and they'd already had. So that was, 50, 60 days later, and she was only 706 grams. And it just blew me away. This animal was 3 years old, but she got 4 eggs. It took me 5 years to get that snake over 1,500 grams. 5 years. Because when you breed them that small, it almost stunts them in a sense. And, like feeding ASF, we've noticed a big difference, as far as our females growing faster. But, and they were feeding mice, but that kind of shows you that they can breed at a young age, but it's not recommended because you're going to stunt that animal.
And that's a good thing about what we're doing. We don't have to rush. We can take our time. We're not going anywhere. And so I think that's, just shout out to Ray again for all he did to get us that that sonic, that ultrasound machine. Because these are the things. Yes, go ahead.
One more thing. If she's a great eater, sometimes it'll spur, once they know what, they've reproduced and they've done their thing and they have this instinct, right? I've seen many, many problem feeders and small girls turn into absolute phenoms when it comes to food. So I've had experiences where a small girl doubles in size after and just becomes voracious.
Right.
And so it depends on the situation, and the specific animal, right? That's the main thing.
Yeah, and this is a good point. Go ahead, Ray.
I was just gonna say, I'm a smaller breeder, so every female is important, right? If she's on the cusp, I would definitely ultrasound her and see if we can see follicles, because I've seen people that have smaller females and they're finding follicles. If she doesn't have follicles, maybe I would put a male in with her just to get her kind of excited, which then will trigger a food response where she'll start eating more because now she's in that mentality of, okay, I want to breed. Let me pack on some weight so that I could develop these follicles, and that might get her up to where you want her to be in a shorter time than if you just let her be. Does that make sense?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, a lot of times they do go into a feeding frenzy once they've had a male in there. Have that scent of that male, they'll start going into a feeding frenzy. So yeah.
Even if they're not oh, what's up, guys? Look at this. Even if they're not building follicles yet, just throwing a male in there might get them to go. So I would maybe do that 1 or 2 times just to see how they interact and see what her feeding response is after that, and then go from there.
All right, cool. We had 2 more people jump on, Brian and Billy from Canada.
What's up, guys?
Yo, Billy, what's up?
How you guys doing?
Legend.
Brian, how you doing?
Great, having high school flashbacks here.
Aren't we all?
Goodness. And you know Earl, right?
I'm in the classroom, so I feel like a kid again.
Who doesn't know Earl?
Yeah, he stands out. Look at that shirt. Bam.
Yeah, they had to frisk him when he came in. They were like, "Who's this guy?"
They thought I was a road cone.
A road cone, yeah. That's funny. All right, so based on Emilio's what he was talking about, just the and I guess Ray as well, just the feeders are all of a sudden starting out. I want Charlesy to go, and then Sophia to go, because these are 2 big females that laid for us last year. They were like Charlesy has Aowen. She'll tell you about her.
Hey guys. Okay, so I have Aowen. It was born in 2016, and she's like 2,350 grams. She was donated to us, and she was paired with Thorin, who's a pied, and gave us our first clutch, which was 10 eggs, and 6 of them were het pied and 4 were just pied. And she's a normal piebald.
So she's a normal het pied, right?
Yes, sir.
So now this was easy. This was the first one. I'm doing the palpating, and I guess on a big snake that's easy to do. But she was like easy, just like you were talking about. She's always been a great eater. No problems with her. And she gave us 10 eggs the first time. It was just beautiful. But of course, proven breeder.
So with that female there, I would probably put the mahogany pie to her and try to get mahogany pied females, so that way we could raise them up and have the visuals. That's kind of that's like where my head would go with that, because she's het pied and she's normal.
Mahogany het pieds too, so.
Yeah, mahogany het pieds and mahogany pieds. And then hopefully you hit some females so that way you could raise them up and then have the visual versions in a female version.
Where's Mark,
what do you think about this? Yeah, with genetic testing being a thing now, what do you think? I know you've got like pied projects and lab pied projects you want to do. What do you think about possibly putting a lavender to that, or a clown to make those double hets and use the genetic test to figure out which ones are the hets? Just wondering what your thoughts on
cost. Yeah.
Or time frame. What is the time frame on a test? Does anybody know?
I think
right now they're jacked up because they had a huge influx. The cost is only $65 a test, I believe, per gene. But I think that if you were going to take time into account, the amount of time, effort, and energy put into it, the cost would benefit you, because you'd be able to figure out if any of them were 100% het off the pie and get those double visuals, and you get to expedite your project.
What'd you say, Billy? It was 6 weeks, roughly?
I believe it's 6 weeks in the U.S. Yeah. So it's just because so many people are sending them in, right? All of a sudden.
Yep.
So they're backlogged, but I don't know if it's going to stay like that consistently. And if they do get that many sheds in, I think they would hire more people to help the process to make it a little bit more streamlined.
I don't think 6 weeks is that bad of a time, considering it takes, up to 2 years to get a female up to size.
You know how everybody is, though. They want it today,
Yeah, right now. Yeah. Instant gratification.
Well, one of the things that we're doing in here, guys, what we're talking about right now is the skin project, where we're taking the skin and extracting DNA from it to try to figure out. So we actually reached out to Dr. Seidel, and we're eventually learning the we're going through this now, and AP Bio will be working on DNA extraction from the snake skins. We have a protocol that we're working on for high school. We don't have to do the sequencing or anything, but we already have the DNA primers, and we have the DNA, the control DNA from a lavender albino that she sent us. So we're going to be able to do that in our classroom, at least for Lab Albino, and then maybe we'll be able to do that for others as well. So we don't really have to worry about that.
That's
And
really cool.
this year we'll do our first tests. Probably in the spring we'll be done with all the background and kind of, making sure that the protocol is efficient and that kind of thing. So, but they've got a lot to learn first about it. But all right, so the next one I want to look at real quick is Gilrayan, and Sophia is going to tell you guys about this one. This is another one. This came from you tell me.
Okay, this is Villarino. She's 2,000 grams. She came from Nerd. We purchased her from Nerd, and he was paired with Samurais last year and produced 8 eggs. So her name is really long. She's a highlighted cypress granite.
The babies were.
Oh, the babies.
The babies
okay.
were that, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
she's a granite.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is the first time I've held her. She likes to move a lot. But
They have their favorite snakes, and now they've been paired with something that they don't know. So these are all new snakes for them. So we're using the live to kind of get that into them. So yeah, that's a granite. And then Earl was talking about different types of granite, like dominant and I mean, how do you know that? Does any of you know the differences between those and how to identify if it's a dominant?
I don't work
granite?
with that gene. I don't know.
What's up, Billy? What do you say about the granite stuff?
I haven't worked. I have a bit of it mixed throughout my collection, but there are some stuff that are. It's almost like it comes out recessively, and then there's dominant ones or codoms. The best way to prove anything else is by breeding it and seeing what comes out in the offspring, because there's a lot of things that you will breed and it won't come up in the very first clutch, but then you breed some of those animals back and things will pop out. So granite is sort of there's so many types of granite animals out there lately, and more are popping out. I don't know too much about it, but I know it does add a lot to different patterns and the way the alien heads look and stuff like that. So,
So do you think that dark genetics would be better to put with a granite type or lighter
mostly
genetics?
that's where you see them the most. But
Right.
everyone sort of stopped. Like granite was one of those genes way back in the early 2000s, 1998, that I worked with way back then. And then when something else, oh my God, look at this. It's sort of like, granite isn't that, visually pleasing. It doesn't really do anything crazy compared to what other genetics do now. So
Right, so
now you don't really see a lot of people working with it because it's not so, crazy of what other things can do. So, and people just sort of drop off to go with the new because there's so much that we're doing. You can't do everything. I mean, it's, I have to sit here and pick and choose projects, even though I don't want to. It's just like, well, if I want this to go here, I sort of have to, drop some stuff off. And
I have a granite story myself.
Emilio, go ahead.
I have some mahoganies that will pop granites out, and it looks like it's some type of recessive thing. Mine are linked mainly to mahoganies, and my thinking is that that's why there's so much variability in sumas. Maybe I could be wrong. I'm gonna use the granites that have popped up just to darken stuff more. But yeah, I see a lot of suma variability out there, and I think it might have to do with granite, popping in and out.
Yeah.
Who do you have paired to that, Emilio?
I'm just raising a granite female right now. I haven't paired.
No. In their list, in their list, which male did you pick to put with the granite?
All I have written down is granite cypress stuff. But if I had to pair that granite to something, I mean, just off the top, I'd probably do the mahogany pipe.
Yeah, something dark.
Yeah, I was thinking the genetic the the GHI Mojave Fire Hypo, and then go for the head hypos. With
It might get
with
lost
all-
in there a little bit. I mean, if
You
you
think
wanted to do something dark, I mean, I don't know, but you're right. If you want to do that too, I'm just less of a stacker myself, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of genes and animals out there that have this, you know, granity type genetic in it, but people don't really realize it or know that it's a possibility. So people are just breeding stuff and don't even realize that there's other genetics in some of these animals.
Yeah.
And I think granite's one of those that are sort of, you know, depending on the combo, sort of hidden in the combo, and people don't even know that it's there.
Yeah. We went the first year with Cypress pinstripe het lab, and we got this thing. This is all three genes. She is beautiful. You can tell, but
yeah, there you go.
yeah, pattern on it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy
really
snake. It's beautiful. The lines on her are just amazing.
Yeah.
And if you look deeper into them, it's just the colors they're just crazy. So that's what we did with her, mainly because we had a proven breeder female to mix with, and so that's what we did.
At the end of the day, there's no wrong way for you to go, right? But for me, there's a lot of mahogany pies out there that barely look like anything different, right? So off the top of my mind, off the top of the dome, I'm thinking, okay, I want to make some really dark mahogany pies that are going to stand out,
Right.
and so for myself and for others. So, but again, it's all about what you want, what you love, and what you want to do. So.
No, well, that's what we're going for with that mahogany pie. We're trying to go for, of course, the Suma pies, but as dark as we can get it, the better it be. What do you think, Earl?
So I don't even work with mahogany and pies. Mahogany clowns, yes, I got mahogany clown everything, but I have never put mahogany into pies. I like the Suma pies. I think they're cool. I've got a cinnamon blackhead ringer gene, red gene that's het pied and clown. So I may try to put mahogany into that and try to make some pies like that down the line, because this thing is dark. So, but I'm kind of like Emilio. I like to see the really, really dark stuff if I'm going to go in the pie, and especially because you can add that into lavenders and really make that pop.
Yep, true.
So,
cool. All right, so the third snake we had last year kind of fits to what Amelia was talking about. Here was one. You want to bring her in? This is Arwen. Grace is our vice president. She just got here. She was part of a service that we just had. So tell them a little about it.
So this is Arwen. She's a really pretty snake. Look at her stripe there. Love it. She was purchased from Circle of Reptiles. So if you guys are watching, thank you. Last season she was paired with Aragorn. So if you know the Lord of the Rings, it's pretty perfect. Aragorn and Arwen. She had a clutch of 7 eggs, so that's awesome. Highlighted hatchings are the Enchi Lesser Leopard, Het Clown. That's Helga Hufflepuff. And we have the Lesser Enchi Het Clown, and that's Butterbeer. They're both really pretty snakes. And her genetics are the Leopard Enchi Lesser. We don't really have any plans right now, but our question is, do you have any ideas for her?
What do you got, Emilio?
Well, let Billy go. Let's let Billy go. Let's let the man go.
I don't have the list.
I'm sorry.
I don't have the list.
You're
more better off to give an answer than I am.
Ray, you go ahead and then I'll go.
Okay, I'll go. So Leo Enchi Lesser, I was talking to Joe about it, and
this is what we have.
I probably wouldn't put anything pied to her, because Lesser, if you end up with, Lesser pied is like an all-white snake, and it doesn't show much pattern. And but now let me ask you this, Billy. Let me ask you, bro. If you have Enchi and Lesser together and you put that into a pied, is it still going to be high white or is it going to have pattern?
It's high white, but you can see it.
High white,
yeah.
but you can see the pattern.
I've done it a few times, and of course the Enchi doesn't come through. I just keep hitting the Lesser, and Enchi's over here. but it's one of those ones where I don't really try to do that pairing to find out if Enchi. I'm trying to take my butter lesser, some of my Mojave stuff I've done because there's more pattern in Mojave pied. So I have Mojave Enchi yellow belly pieds. It gives it a little bit of color and more pattern, but I haven't really tried or even looked to see if if adding Enchi or pinstripe into lesser pied, if it brings more pattern back. So I try to avoid, butter lesser and stuff into my pieds. I have tried it because I have them, and it's like, let's just do it, and I keep missing,
Yeah.
So, theory is Enchi and pin will bring more pattern out in those higher white pied combos, but it's hit and miss. I do the same thing with black pastel pieds. I've got black pastel, yellow belly, and Enchi. And some of them are like, wow, great pattern. And the other ones, I know that the Enchi's in there, but it's still a very high white pied. So it's still hit and miss. And it's not guaranteed when you add Enchi or another, gene like pinstripe to add a little bit more pattern in pied. It doesn't always come out that way. Because with pieds, you're not guaranteed high white or low white. They're just all random.
Right.
So,
Yeah. No.
Okay, so
no lesser pied for me, guys. Nope.
Yeah, me either.
yeah, and you know what? I get like 5 out of 7 eggs that are pied, lesser pieds. I'm like, come on,
Nope.
a couple here, but yeah.
It's just difficult because when you're stacking genes on top, you want to be able to see the genetics that you're working with. So if there's Leo in there and lesser in there, how would you know there's Leo in there, right?
Yeah, and another thing with lesser and butter pieds, they seem to have really small beady eyes and sort of like almost, the head's almost like the duck billing. I mean, they're really odd looking and really small beady eyes. So it's something that I try not to do. I always recommend to people, spot nose, a lot of the bell stuff, champagne, stay away from it in pied, because it's pretty much an all white pied, or very high white pied.
So with that, I took the Leo Enchi lesser female and I paired her to the GHI Mojave Fire Hypo. I like hypo. I'm a hypo lover. Some people aren't. It is what it is. But I just feel like the GHI, the Mojave, the Leo, and the Enchi, those are fairly dark genes. So when you put hypo into anything dark, it's just going to give it that frosty look. And I think it's beautiful. So for me, that's what I paired to the Leo Enchi lesser.
Lesser GHI hypos are phenomenal. I have an adult here, and it's one of my favorites. It's just, people come and go, oh my God, what's that? And it's just an Enchi lesser hypo, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm with Ray on that one.
So this is the snake you guys are talking about.
Gandalf.
This is Gandalf.
Yes, GHI Mojave hypos are awesome.
Yeah, beautiful.
Switch so we can see it.
Hmm?
You switch the camera so we can see it.
Yeah, not my big face.
There you go.
GHI Mojave lesser stuff is incredible.
Right. Yep.
It's just GHI is awesome.
It's just a different colored snake compared to what you normally see. It's nice, colors, and you get to see the fading of the pattern sort of translucently through the snake.
Yeah, I love it.
It's different. That's why I like it. When you start showing all these colorful snakes and then you open up, oh my God, what's that? It catches people's attention.
Yeah.
Dark genes and hypo are definitely top tier for me. I like that.
Hell yeah. Yep.
Mark's about to leave, so I want to get his input a little bit. Mark, what do you think?
I'm a bit of a gambler, so I've been looking at your list here. I would go with Sirius Black, and if you guys could show me that real quick, I would just stack dark on dark and test for the head clown out of all the babies. That's where I'd go. If you don't mind, if I could see Sirius Black before I go.
Yeah, here's Sirius. Oh,
I've got
another snake in your hand. So here he is. He's cinnamon. Yeah, he's basically a chocolate, cinnamon, orange dream pet clown.
Yeah, chocolate and cinnamon. I like that.
Yeah. Sweet.
Belly on him.
And he's a head clown. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that'll a good segue into the next female. We'll show you that just our plans are for one of the plans for that are set in stone.
He looks like he's almost there. How much is that guy weighing?
Oh yeah, he's what birthday on? Anybody have serious? I want to say he's 550 actually right now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
Yeah.
anyways. You see them all.
Yeah.
I gotta get going, guys.
All right, thanks, Mark.
You
You can send us your stuff. Yeah, you too. I mean, let me do the heart.
See you guys.
Hey, nice tank, bro. Nice turtle back there.
Thank
It's
you.
really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have a good one, Mark.
Bye, guys.
All right, so
Hey, Joe, can you blow up Billy? He's got something in his hands there.
Oh yeah, Billy.
Yeah, so this is the lesser pied, possible pinstripe, posh yellow belly, het hypo. So all white. I'm not sure if it's yellow belly. I'm not sure if it's pinstripe, all white. But if you look at the head, if you see the eyes, they're sort of beady compared to a regular size.
Yeah.
They're just maybe like 2-3 millimeters smaller. But I mean, they still do fine. Except I don't know if it's pan, I don't know if it's yellow belly, and it's just I would rather have a pied with the pattern because that's what I like is the pattern on them. And when you start adding more genes to this, it ain't gonna make the snake any more brighter or so that's basically what they look like.
And you have to use if it's a male, you have to use that you have to use a female to try to prove out what he is.
Yeah. So I mean, I work with a lot of different things and I try different things here and there, but there's just some stuff where making the panda pie. I tried for 3 years from 3 different lines trying to do things and it just never happened. They were all, defective or had some issues. So I just gave up on it, even though I would love to own one or produce one. It just, sometimes you just got to know, just drop it and move in a different direction. But I do have those from years ago. But I don't think moving forward, I'll ever do a butter pied or anything like that, unless someone can make an enchi, and do it where it does pop up. I'm actually working with cryptic. Cryptic is something I really like. And in pied, it pulls like almost all the pattern out. So I am going to start getting that into my spot nose and some other stuff to see if cryptic pied, spot nose and lesser and say butter down the road will keep the pattern or add to the pattern. But, right now, Enchi's the key one. But I'm thinking and hoping cryptic will do even more than Enchi.
Interesting.
You've been quiet up there, Brian.
Okay, so we're still working on this Enchi lesser.
Oh, he's on mute. He's on mute. Brian, you're
Oh,
muted.
you're on mute.
Muted.
Can you unmute? Can you unmute him? There you go. Oh.
He's on mute. He can't hear you.
Oh, he's muted himself.
I'm muted and my mouse was on the other screen because I was playing with the Jamboard.
Oh no.
I know everyone thinks I never shut up, but when I'm around people that know what they're talking about, I usually take a back seat. So I just don't always have that opportunity. But I'm looking at the Jamboard. I'm just waiting for the next one, and I agree. I mean, if there's opportunities that you're going to produce animals that may not be ideal, such as having small eyes or not having the pattern that you're seeking, I would avoid that project. And when it comes to pied, I mean, I'm more of a low white type of guy. I do have mahogany pieds, and I have a nice dark one, and the light mahogany pied. I love it. It's a mahogany pied. We're going to work with it, but it's not what I'm looking to recreate. If you're going to go for a sumo, you want a nice dark animal. And when it comes to pied, I prefer, I have no white. I have 2 no white pies. I have a hypo enchi no white pie, pastel no white pie, and it's the pie pattern that I like more so than the breakup of the white and the pattern. I really do like seeing that pie pattern there. So then it's difficult if you're going to create an all white snake and you have all these possibilities in it. I mean, you're going to be running these projects. These kids are going to have their doctorates already by the time they figure things out.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get projects that could come to fruition in 4 years. So, that could be, kind of taking the baton from another group of kids, so that the seniors in the group are going to be coming up with a legacy project. And so they're going to be taking a lot of this information and with the snake that we currently have, and kind of seeing, with your info and input, what can we do for the next 4 years, pretty much. So I want to show you guys the next female and introduce the next student as well. She's going to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Lena. I'm the current standing president of the Snake Club. I've been here for 2 years, so since it started. And this is Precious. She's 800 grams. We got her from Canova. She's a Batman. And she is currently planned to be paired up with Sirius because we're trying to go for the Dark Knights. And we were thinking to breed her this year, but we don't know on size yet, so we're waiting to see.
Oh, that's the chocolate male that you have, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's these two together.
Yeah, because he's had clown. You said, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Very cool. Good idea. I didn't have him on my list because I was just doing 500 and up, so he's probably gained weight since you updated it.
Yeah, and all the no, it's fine.
That's a great idea. The great idea though. Good pairing.
What do you think about the I see them popping out eggs all year long. I mean, are you I guess now that I have done ultrasound, we can kind of look at that. But are you pairing all year long?
Pretty much.
I do. Yeah, I have for the last 4 or 5 years.
We pair all year long as well.
Yeah, because I have an ultrasound, I go by follicle growth. I'll ultrasound every like 2-3 weeks, and if I see something there, then she's gonna get paired.
So that's even better for us. I mean, that's just even better for us. Go ahead.
So we're very seasonal in my setup. I typically use ambient temps for my whole setup. I breed with the seasons. I'm that typical October to March dude.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've always done it that way, and I've continued it that way.
It's convenient for us with the school year as well. But for some reason, this year we had them hatching. I guess our latest hatchlings were from last year. That was actually in May, Mother's Day. Was our last week. Yeah, I guess we're going to just keep monitoring and kind of use that ultrasound.
Now, I wanted to ask a question, Billy, Earl. Have you noticed when you're running another pairing of a female that's already laid, that they kind of lay around the same time the following year? Because that's kind of like been something we've noticed quite a few times, where if they laid in January, if you pair them around the same time, they're laying in January again. Has anyone noticed that?
It kind of depends on the follicle growth, but I mean, we'll start. I mean, I think Billy's probably around the same thing. 8 months after they lay, we start checking them, for follicles and stuff.
I do 4 months after 4 or 5 months after they lay.
Right. Yeah, I do 8 months, and I mean, right now we've still got like 9 to 11 clutches waiting on. I've still got several in the incubator, and we started breeding 2 weeks ago for the next season. So I mean, we don't really have a season that's pretty much year-round anymore.
Yeah, we just go off of the ultrasound. So what we've been finding with Husbandry Pro, we're able to document. So every time we do an ultrasound, we document the follicular growth, and we can sort of see the patterns. This year, we had 2 females that laid 2 clutches in 1 year. So she started building. So I've noticed around 4 or 5 months, mostly around 6, they start rebuilding their follicles from the year before. And then, after they, say 5 months, they start rebuilding. It takes that 3-4 months until they ovulate. And then.
Sorry, that's that.
Oh, the school bell. So we strictly go by the ultrasound. So we don't put a male in until she's 12 millimeters and up, and then once a month, depending on how the follicles are growing. But 2 of them, so one laid, and then 11 months later laid again. We did that twice, but most of them lay around 12, 13 months. But we have had 2 within 11 months lay, out of several hundred clutches. So I like to look. So on Husbandry Pro, I have a reminder after 4 months that they lay, start going on and ultrasounding and see if they're building. And if they're building, we just basically, same rule. If they're 12 millimeters and up, we pair and try to get 2 extra additional locks every month. And after 3 millimeters or 30 millimeters or 3 centimeters, we just leave them. We don't pair and we don't feed anymore. I know some people like to feed smaller meals before they ovulate. We just choose not to, and it's worked fine for us. So, but it is like, Brian said, it's almost like a yearly thing. It's like their cycle, you know. Yeah. But we start looking around 4 months, 5 months for that cycle to start over again, because it's a 3-4 month building cycle, and then 2-3 weeks to ovulate and a month and a half or so to lay, and that's how you get that sort of year.
Yeah, I've never used an ultrasound, but I've been hearing a lot of what Billy's been saying recently, and I might get one soon. But typically, every single year, they lay for me like a week apart from like the time frame is like right on point.
What's great is because you have that cycle down. So if you start buying other animals, so say you bought an animal from me today that just laid yesterday, I guarantee you she's not going in your cycle.
She'll skip.
Correct. So that's the thing is when you have a really solid, mature collection, you almost know to the T, when they're going to lay, how I do it. Yeah. When you start, gathering more or getting newer females that you raise up, sometimes they don't go in your 6-7 month breeding plan. I want you to breed here. Some of them are like, no, I'm going to go 4 months later. Yeah. So that's what the ultrasound does, right? It gives you that exact moment, and it gives you that timeline.
Yeah, and the bigger your collection gets, I can see why it's so important,
Like with us, we don't have Billy's collection. We only have 240 females. But the thing about it is with those 240 females, they're rotating every year, because I've got stuff coming up, so I'm getting rid of stuff every year. Like last year, we got rid of 56, females. I had 56 to put right back in that spot, as they're growing. So that cycle, it screws up that cycle really bad, because you don't know. So that ultrasound really helps when it comes to that kind of stuff. We've been ultrasounding them animals, the year before, seeing what they were doing as they're growing too. We're checking, because Billy said it in a podcast a while back. These things always have follicles. They're really, really tiny, but you can see them even when they're 800-900 grams. They'll grow and then they'll back off. Yeah. And so we were checking that as they're growing up, and then we know about when they're going to start cycling when we put them into the breeding program. But we rotate females every year, so getting to know that female, really, really good is hard.
Emilio?
Yes.
You said that, so you're basically on a cycle, and you said that you use ambient, which I know a lot more people are doing. I've tried it. It works. It's great. Now, do you do anything to stay in that cycle to help get them motivated to breed? Because I don't drop my temps. I don't put a male in to, unless she's already building on her own. With your setup, do you drop temps or, water everything down to get humidity up and change the temps? Or do you, introduce males earlier because you don't have the ultrasound, compared to I don't put a male in unless she's already building on her own?
No, I introduce males probably in the next 2 weeks. I'll start introducing males. And yes, now with the amount of hatchlings I have been controlling temps a little bit more. Okay. And with that, I got later clutches, right? This year, I got 2 or 3 clutches that were super late in comparison to the past, which I'm expecting that again this year. But what I do is I just let the temp go down a little bit, not a lot. And that spurs, the whole breeding process to start.
Cool.
Yeah.
We run an ambient too, and I mean we do get it wet in there, and we'll ride the barometric drops. We'll ride that wave if there's any weather coming. But other than that, it's let them have fun and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm really interested in the whole ultrasound thing. I'm gonna do it because things are growing, you know, consistently. I'm growing at about 15 to 20% a year. And the more I've talked to people out there is that the bigger your collection gets, the lower your percentage of girls will go if you're not on your game. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if you're not on top of every girl. So, you know, I'm one guy. You know, my son helps me a little bit here and there. But so far in the past, I've been able to go at a 90 to 95% clip. A lot of the guys down here with bigger collections are going at about 50%.
Yeah.
Now, that could also be with feeding. You know, they're maybe not feeding as much as well. But I think the overall care and watch and, you know, your eyes on each animal, you know, matters a lot when it's, you know, it's small. But when you're a bigger collection, I guess you do need the ultrasound to help out. So I see myself going that way.
So without the ultrasound, how many pairings per female do you usually, what's your cycle for the male? Like 1 week, 2-3 days in, you know, a week out, and then 3 weeks later, and how many months? I know some people do that monthly until they see an ovulation.
I like to give them one lock a month.
Okay.
If I see a lock, that's enough for me each month.
So would you?
I read the girl. I'm sorry.
Would you have one male into a female, say 5 or 6 months?
No.
Okay.
No, he's coming out. You know, I probably leave him in there a week.
But I mean, like, you know how you do it monthly until you see the female either, you know, swell up or ovulate or, you know, go and start.
If I see her showing all the right things, I mean, I stop putting them in there.
Okay.
It's
And if no signs, you continue to put them in monthly, correct? Because what an ultrasound will do is I just need 2 locks. I like to get that third in, and I'm running like 95%. Plus, I have males. The best one this year, 17 females. Most of my males are doing 10 to 12 females. And I'm only getting 2, sometimes 3 locks. So with an ultrasound, it's huge for, you know, yourself. You know, you put him in a month, You could be putting that male in for 5 months where he didn't have to go in the first 2. He could have been allocated to a female that was building faster than the other one. So that's where, you know, you don't need an ultrasound by any means, but when you start growing bigger and start utilizing males, the thinking process behind it really is in your favor, and it's less work on the animals, and, you know, it's less stress for the female.
Definitely. And let me say one more thing. If you're breeding an older male, he can't handle that anymore.
Yes, sometimes.
You agree with that, Billy?
You
I mean, not what you're saying. What I'm saying, if I'm breeding an older male, like an older male that's been here a while, and I'm trying to put him to 6 girls, and I'm using the system I am, he could get burned out real quick.
I've had males that are superstars, you know, and then next year he'll breed 2 and go off of food and not want to do anything. Then you got to pull him out of the rotation. I think it changes all the time. I've had years where my smaller males were champs. This last year, my smaller males hardly did anything. So it's hit and miss. But I find that, you know, when we're putting these animals through so much stress by breeding them so much, if we have the ultrasound, which I know that, hey, I only have to put 2, maybe 3 for this one. And if he's still breeding and eating and producing sperm, I can keep moving them on. Whereas if I'm trying to get 5 females and I'm just putting them in every week consistently for 5 months or 4 months until I find that is a little stressful. And it also, for me, it's like, is she gravid? Should I put it in one more time? You know, and for me, knowing is the best. That's why one thing about the ultrasound is I know where she's at, how far I can utilize the male. And it's just, peace of mind for me, and knowing that I'm not overexerting the animals.
So here's a question for you guys that use ultrasound. So I use ultrasound too, and I usually only pair my males twice, and I'll put them in when she's at maybe like around 15 millimeters follicles, and then I'll take him out, and he'll do other things with other females, and then I'll put him back in with that female at maybe like 25 or 20 millimeter size follicles. Do you guys have a size follicle that you'll put him in at, or that you won't put him in at?
I like 12, 19, 20, 25, 27. If I can hit 3 or anywhere, I want to hit between 12 and 30. If you get 2, if not 3 locks between that, because after 30, I've noticed that, how it takes a follicle almost a month, 4 or 5 weeks to grow a centimeter. After that 3 centimeter mark, it's almost like 2 weeks to go to 4 to ovulate. It's like almost spam. So it's like slow growth, 3 centimeters, bam, ovulation. 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, like really quick.
Yeah, it happens quick. What about you, Earl? Do you when you're pairing your males?
I'm kind of the same way, but I don't rely on the ultrasound early on. I usually put a male in to spur the females first, and then I start ultrasounding. A lot of times, if that animal's not starting to build, and we know she's old enough, she's big enough, she's ready, I throw a male in there. I use the male that I want, because the first time you put one in there that you didn't want, that's the first thing that's going to lock.
100%. That's the one that gives you the clutch.
And you're so mad because you were shooting for this and this pops out. And it's like, oh man. So I'll throw a male in there just to try to help spur her to start building. If they lock, they lock. That's fine. If they don't, that's fine too, because it's still going to spur her. That male was in there. And then, I'll check her in 2 or 3 weeks and she started building. So pretty much the same way as Billy, is just we put the males in a little faster just to get them spurred on some of them. But 2 to 3 locks, period.
So here's a question.
Write that note down. No buffers.
No buffers.
No buffers.
So we had 3 snakes, actually really 2 that I'll mention here. But Rosie got 1 visual pied, and then we had a lavender that you're going to see here in a second, Denarius. And they were crazy eating. We were pairing it. As soon as I put a male in there, they were locking. Rosie locked maybe 8 times. Like Billy, like you were saying, once a month. That's what I was doing, and thought I saw an ovulation. I think I was correct in the others, but for some reason with these 2, I was way off, because they were still wanted to eat. But my question is that those 2 didn't go. Do I have to worry about stored sperm from, and consider that in the next pairings and stuff like that?
You always have to.
Okay.
So I've had a pairing where I bred 2 males in 1 year, and I had sperm from the year before, and she laid eggs. So I talked to Dr. Warren Booth. I had a live with him, and he said they can even store sperm up to 2 years. It's not, it's not like, it happens all the time, but it's possible. I've had a clutch this year that was last year's male, this year's male, and 2 of the eggs were parthenogenesis, which means no male was used. So breeding records, and who you're pairing to, even prior or when you're buying an animal from somebody, it's key to know, because, oh my God, I got this new gene. No, it's the animal. Like some of those babies were from, retained sperm from the year before. So it happens. Now, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So I just cut a clutch the other day, and Partho, and this year out of 2 eggs, because the other 4 went bad. Now, the other 4 were probably Partho, and they just didn't make it. But it's happening more and more often. Parthenogenesis clutches and sperm retention is there. So it's just, key to note what the pairings were before. And
Yes.
it does happen. And the more we breed, the more it's going to continue to happen. But it's not like 50 or 60% of your parents is going to happen. It might be 5 or less, but it does happen.
All right, let me show you.
I was going to just touch on that. We had a really rare experience where we had a female actually have a joint pairing or separate male babies, and they were from 2 previous pairings. She didn't go with the male she was paired with that season. She went with the 2 previous pairings, so she retained.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
It never happened before, and none of the hatchlings matched the current pairing. They were from 2 previous pairings, so you always have to worry about retained sperm. I think like an 18-month window around there with retained sperm.
Yeah. I think it's always happened over the last 20 years, except before nobody shared info. Now that more people are breeding and sharing their information, you're starting to see stuff happen more, but it just didn't happen. It's always been around. We just didn't realize the capability of some of these animals and some of the things that happen. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. Everybody's heard of parthenogenesis. There's something called androgenesis, where the male uses only his genetics and the female will lay an egg and it will only be the male's genetics.
That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Which is crazy, yes. So parthenogenesis is more common, but there is something called androgenesis. And when I heard that, it really took me to, I'm like, what? So now I got to start looking at these males now, but it's pretty crazy what we're learning about, because people are sharing their experiences and their outcomes. So
I had a phone call the other day. We had a phone call the other day. A guy called me and he said, I've got a 16-year-old ball python female that has never been paired with a male, and she just laid 5 eggs. And I said, okay. I said, it's partho clutch. I said, it's not super uncommon. And I said, how long ago did she lay them? And it was like 2 or 3 days. And so I sent Kyle over there to get the eggs and, put them in the incubator. He's down to 1 egg. 1 egg was dried up when I got there. And of course, in a cage, the chance of the eggs are slim to none. Right. We got 1 egg that we're saving, and it's kind of crazy because, there's no way this female's ever seen a male. And so it's kind of cool. And it was a cool story. That's why I told Kyle to go get the eggs and try to hatch them. Because it's always fun to do stuff like that. And then, you'll give the snake back to the guy when it hatches, and, it'd be a fun story.
So,
all right, let's do another
question. So with a partho clutch, from what I've known, there's people like Dr. Warren Booth that have been really studying this for like 10 plus years. So most parthenogenesis animals don't do well. They'll have a very short life, or they'll live a little longer and they'll die at a year old. He has had some success in raising a partho animal to breeding size. But once she breeds, usually the eggs are fertile, and the female usually dies after laying. So, that's just on small numbers, but it has been going, over a 10-year period. He said he's got freezers full of parthenogenesis animals because they're trying to make it thrive and trying to do things and trying to get an answer. And they've only had, I think he said in 10 years, 3 parthenogenesis females get to breeding size. And when they laid, the eggs are no good, and the female always dies, very soon after. So if you want Dr. Warren Booth from...
I just looked him up. So
he's someone you should reach out to. Very knowledgeable, awesome guy. He breeds a bunch of different species as well. And great guy. I get a lot of info from him, and very willing to share knowledge and help people out. But every time I speak to the man, I'm always blown away with something new that these animals can do. And it's just like, what? So it's definitely great to learn more and more. I've been doing this for 25 years and I'm still learning. And I know there's a lot more to learn.
Yeah, that's what's great about it.
Guys,
Right.
I got 10 more minutes. I wanted to ask one question of the students. Okay? All right. Each and every one of you, where do you see yourself going with everything you've learned?
Oh, dang. Good question.
Wow.
I can go first on this one because I have a clear-cut path on what I want to do.
Can you hear her?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to school for zoology.
Awesome.
Hopefully in the future, I'd like to dabble in ball python breeding and gecko breeding as well. With the hopes of becoming a basketball coach and be able to install more of a zoology program in everyday schools. Because we have biology and animal sciences, but we don't focus on the care of animals and how they live in the wild. And I think that's critically important when you take care of any animal, that being either some form of a mammal or a reptile. We need to inform our youth on why we need these animals, how we should properly care for them, and then their impact on our earth for conservation purposes.
That's awesome.
Great.
There's an answer. That's going to be hard to beat. Who's next?
Yeah.
I can go next.
Oh, go. And Sarah also has the next snake to talk about too.
So I'm planning on majoring in biochemistry. I'm a senior, so going into college next year, and then on the path for pre-vet. So hopefully working with exotics or wildlife, so snakes would be a huge part of that, along with other reptiles, birds, things like that.
Very cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
What about personal kinds of things? What have you guys learned about just? I mean, look at this girl over here. Well, you've held some snakes before, right? Like one. So, what do you guys think about this? As our freshman, let's get a freshman voice in.
I honestly have never really been into snakes until now. Like I'm not really into science, but I love these snakes. I love playing with them. They're like comfort animals, and I honestly, I don't know where I'll go with it because besides they want to go in like the science route, they want to do zoology and stuff. I really want to major in cinematography. I want to be in the arts. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll develop some sort of liking. Maybe I'll learn more about it in the future, but I'm not sure yet.
Or just a pet, right?
Yeah, maybe just a pet.
Pets are great. Pets are great. Pets are great.
Cool. That's cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cinematography, you can come work for me and do all my video work and all that kind of stuff.
That's a big part of what we do, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a photographer, but I have to try to be one. It's like best I can, you know. But yeah.
People love
Photographing
wildlife.
snakes will teach you patience.
People love wildlife pictures, and all stuff like
I
that.
would like deathly afraid of snakes. I would cry and whatever. I had a garden snake in my backyard, and I had my dad throw it in the fire pit. So I'm not good with snakes, and it actually used to scare the crap out of me. So I started off with really small ones, and I got more accustomed to those, and those are the ones that I hold the most, just because I feel better with them. But today, it was the biggest snake I've ever held, so I had a little mini panic attack, but I was fine. But
That's awesome, though.
I don't really know if I'm really going to take it anywhere, just because I joined just to try and get over my fear of snakes, and now that I'm working on that, I'll just stay in this club, but I don't know if I'll ever take it.
Well, if you ever do get into snakes, I would stay away from the Gene Fire.
Or Virgo.
Oh, man,
All right. Sloan, you want to say something?
Well, I joined because my friends were in the club and because I was also kind of scared. But Galadriel, the snake I was holding earlier, she was the first snake from the collection that I ever held. And she's my favorite snake ever. And I'm really interested in the breeding process, so I would love to see her through the breeding process and hope to get a dreamsicle one day.
That's very cool. Do you guys think,
yeah.
Do any of you think I really like the genetics and I really like creating different combinations, and maybe I'll have my own collection and really kind of take it that road?
Yeah.
Alice is over here. Come on. Can you see Alice? Yeah, Alice is over there.
Yep, she's in there.
Yeah.
I'm not even in the club.
You're skipping something, right? You're skipping another class.
Yeah, but I have 2 snakes at home and a leopard gecko that I've been into for like as long as I can remember. Like I just love snakes and reptiles, so I definitely want to go into more of the breeding aspect of it.
Yeah, Alice is an example of the reach of the club. You know, so we have the club, but the club wasn't the first thing that we started. The first thing was just having it in my classes. So if you were in my class, you interacted with snakes. And then she's in my AP Environmental Science class, and then we, of course, lead to good discussions. I have snakes. I have a ball python. And so, you know, anybody at lunchtime, you don't have to be in the club to come in here and just hang out and play with snakes, or just hear us talking about stuff. And so it works out really well. Let's see the mystic. Anybody else want to add something? Grace, do you have something?
I didn't really like snakes, but then I helped one, and I'm like, never went back. And now I'm here.
Yeah.
Holding snakes every day.
And cleaning tubs as well. She's our vice president. Grace is our vice president.
I kind of just got thrown into it. So
yeah,
I've always loved snakes.
Oh, Izzy's
I've always loved snakes. I was always raising my hand. Yeah, people say, "Who wants to hold a snake?" I was me. So yeah, it's really cool for me to like see all the snakes, see the different combinations that are made. I just really love this.
Fantastic, and a big salute to the young ladies that are there to overcome their fears, because I think that's so important, and it's so cool that you could do that, because most people can't do that.
Yeah, and you'll never learn or be educated if you have a fear and you don't get over it. You don't want to listen, you don't want to understand or hear what everybody says. You just got this fear and you just put this big block up. So once you do that, now you're opening yourself up to learn and understanding, and I think it's great. And then you can also let other people know, hey, I used to be afraid too, and this is how I got over it. And we just keep spreading the word that way. And some people will never get over their fear, and that's just how it is. But it's like you said, congratulations for you just to join to get over it, because that's a big, huge step. And I'm glad you did, because you love them, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still working on the big one.
Claire's got something to say, and then
I guess I just mainly joined because like I like just to be around animals. Gaining like animals' trust is like really important. Like I don't usually like to just like grab it, but I think just living things is like very important to understand, like, you know, like a lifeline or like a circle of life or something like that. Just like biological.
Nice.
Taylor fell in love with one snake. I have to rip it out of her hand.
Well, originally I didn't mind snakes. They were kind of just there. But then a friend of mine just like put one in my hand, and I fell in love with snakes then.
I feel like I should get more credit for that.
Okay. Lena, over here, put a snake in my hand in the middle of class, and I fell in love with snakes then. I did all of snakes.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the mystic. Oh no, Sophia, you want to say something?
Oh, sure, okay. Well, before I came to All Saints, I didn't know like anything about ball pythons. I didn't know that we could keep them. But when I came here, I got like educated on it, and I just love them now.
Cool. Gentlemen, why don't you guys get up, Van, and just get up. So these are the two that have been hanging out in the chat and kind of helping out. What do you guys have to say? He's the tech guy. So.
I kind of just got roped into this because I was hanging out with friends, but snakes are cool. I hadn't held a snake before this. I actually kind of like it.
Awesome.
I don't know. It's just.
That's good. That's how it all starts, man.
I just walked in here one day, saw a snake. I was deadly scared of him.
Actually, but you were on a tour, right? Didn't you first hold a snake on a tour? Yeah, he was kind of deciding I'm not saying that the snakes were the one reason why he got here, but that's when I think he first saw the snakes and stuff. The next thing you know, here it is. So, All right, so let's get through the rest of these females so you guys can. We don't want this to be too long. This is Sarah's going to show you.
This is Lobelia. She's a mystic het lavender albino. She was born in 2019, and we are pairing her with Sam Wise,
who is the Cypress pinstripe het lab, and she has those, like Billy was talking about. She has these weird buggy eyes. I guess that's normal with mystic, but she's got those really buggy eyes.
Yeah, she's got big ones.
Yeah. So there's big ones and there's small ones. I've noticed more of the eyes because year after year after year, I just look at snakes. They eat, they move, they look healthy, and I've noticed sometimes it's like some have big eyes, some have smaller ones. I don't really know what if it's the actual genetic. It could be an incubation thing or just a clutch, but I know it does happen. I've even had ones where one's small, one's big. I've had ones with one no eye. I've had ones with two different colors. I'm really not sure, and I haven't really dug into why the eyes come out so random and different. But it could be a bunch of different things. That's something you talk to like a guy like Warren Booth, where he could probably know the answer or attribute it to something scientific that would cause it.
Yeah, Grace is showing you just the
Wise.
male. That's the male that we put with her. They've only had
handsome
one lock
he is.
so far, but that's the Cypress pinstripe.
So in my notes, I have the same pairing that you guys have. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is
All right,
Sam Wise.
and then we have one more. That's our. You want to go ahead and bring? And then this is our. Well, actually, we have two more. Oh yeah, but. Well, yeah, so this is go ahead and tell yours.
This is Marius. She is a lavender albino. She was donated to the class, and she was paired with Samwise. And do you want me to say what Samwise is?
Say whatever you want to say.
He is a Cirrus pinstripe het lavender, but she did not lay eggs.
So who do you guys have? I know some of you have communicated about this snake being used for like some double head.
What do you have, Emilio?
That's the live female, correct?
Yes.
That I didn't have on my list. I have her to a mahogany pied.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got the same pairing as you. Go for double
Can
heads.
Frodo get some love?
Go ahead, Brian.
Can Frodo get some love?
Frodo's a male. We got to pull out Frodo. You are talking? Yeah, Frodo's. We'll bring out some males now. We also have Smaug. Someone get Smaug. And then we have we have Smaug. We have you can put her back now.
Okay.
So you guys had a het lab to her last time, but she didn't go, right?
Right. She was a
So
beast.
now-
Oh, man, I don't know how in the world I missed. I have photos of it. Someone said actually that snake was too fat. Well, I guess he was right because it wasn't ovulating for sure.
So
I have a quick question. What
Yeah.
do you use? How do you guys track your snakes, your feedings, your pairings? What do you use to track it?
Husbandry Pro.
Oh, okay, good. Because I was just gonna say, if you didn't, I was gonna, donate.
Yeah, we
Husbandry
use
Pro to you.
we use it. We use it a lot.
Awesome.
and,
Good to hear.
Yeah. So we we actually just made these information sheets too. We've been working with the new information sheets, and it really helps the students because it gives them like a little kind of overview, of it, and then they can write notes below it, what they're thinking, and then we kind of put them together and we can move them around like a physical jam board that we use. And
Well,
so-
I believe next week. Don't hold it to me, but next week we actually have the lineage coming, as well as breeding. What do you call it? Breeding records. So all your breeding records. Also, you'll be able to go and view or have other people go rate and look in your incubator, see what you've got cooking. A lot of new things are coming out in the next 2-3 weeks. So
That's cool.
It'll help too.
So here is this is the one Brian was talking about. This is Frodo. You want to put this up big screen? This is Frodo. This is our triple het. He is triple het, Lav Pied, and Desert Ghost.
And that's Pastel Enchi?
Enchi, yeah, Pastel Enchi, right? And then he has het Lav Pied, and then Desert Ghost. And I'm talking like, if you look at just that part of them, it looks, I mean, it's really clean on the bottom there. I don't know. Is there a het influence of Desert Ghost in snakes that you can identify? Or
I believe there is het influences of certain ones. I don't really know much about the DG because I haven't really had many clutches. I have a lot. Just this year I'll be making a lot. But I know with the enhancer, which is very similar, the babies tend to have a little bit more of a nicer coloration to it, which I would almost be, because they're so similar, I would almost say that's the reason why it has a little bit more cleaner and brighter look, is probably because of the het DG influence.
I agree.
And the blacks are just crazy. So this is a snake that we have questions about. We don't know what to do with them. We don't know what to do with them at all. I mean,
so you guys have the blackhead lavender het pied female?
Yeah. You want to? So that's Galadriel.
So that's the one that I would. That's the one that I would pair to the one that you're holding now, the pastel triple het. So that way you could go for the double visual pos het DGs, and then if you do the testing, you'll be able to find out who has the het DG, and then now you have a double visual, 100% het DG, which I think is cool.
Yeah, it may be years for some of these new genetics to come out, but then again, half these animals you got to spend 2 years to grow up, anyways, and. So. Yeah,
so this is the snake that that Ray is talking about, and then we're really set. I mean, because we have that male pied het lav, which is our, that is our best shot, I guess, of getting that dreamsicle. And so we really want to shoot for that because that's a legacy project. That was like the first project that the seniors got. So we want to try as much as we can. Well, this would get it as well. I mean, it has a chance because we have Smaug as well. So these two, this one is a double het dreamsicle. So basically double het, lav pied. So no DG in this one, just pastel, and then het, lavender, albino, and pied.
I would definitely go with the prior. Because you definitely want Enchi in your lab, Enchi in your pied, Enchi in your dreams, phenomenal. Yeah. And also having that 50% het, half the animals will carry the het DG. You just got to figure out which ones, but it's all right. The pastel Enchi, I think is the way to go.
So Frodo.
That's why I said you got to show Frodo some love.
That's right, Brian.
Yeah.
So Frodo and Galadriel. All right, I take that because I don't know. I mean,
you're just trying to go for max potential.
Yeah, right? And it's hard. I mean, it's hard on the pocket for what DG females are going for now. So.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So now you have pied that has pretty recognizable het markers. So even if you get lavs, you can see if it's double het for pied and Desert Ghost. Yeah. So you'll be able to see ringers or tracks. So it'll be easy to identify the het pieds, and the het DGs are a little bit cleaner, I think. So.
Yeah, and then all right, so let's.
Hey Earl, is there a het lav marker?
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you work with lav?
Yeah. I do a lot of dreamsicle stuff, and I've never really seen any het markers on it.
I wouldn't say there's a het marker, but there's an overall color that comes with het labs. I don't know if Billy works with lavenders, but in my view, every het every trait has its own little look.
Yeah.
Well, I don't make pos hets in lavender really, so I don't really know. Looking at everything I've ever done is 100% hets when I'm making lab stuff. So
I get it, but what I mean is they all have their little look.
Like I believe there's a het influence in everything. It's just some are subtle and some are stronger.
Yeah,
Like
for sure.
we've seen head ultramouth from breeding them for so many years and paying attention. We know there's markers for that, and I have the advantage of having Austin, the Wonder Kid. So I'm just like, hey, Austin, no, yeah, it will. No, it won't.
Yeah,
It's just
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's very amazing and gifted in that thing, and he's been right like 99% of the time. So I don't even argue anymore.
Yeah.
I try to learn. And I'm like, I don't see what you're seeing. He's like, how can you not? It's right there. And I go, I got to put my glasses on. I do believe, like Emilio says, every het influence has something, whether it's subtle or right in your face. But I do believe there are het influences because I've seen it in so many things. There's got to be in the other 4 or 5 as well. It's just looking at it and comparing and, sharing that info. But
yeah. Definitely, yeah.
So, so some specifics about the project. So, what have you seen in the collection as far as? We know Precious, that Batman, and Sirius Black. We've got some other options that can set us up for the following year. And so, is that only about what you think we should be doing, like clowns and pieds? Together? Should we be going that route, or should we bring in the hypo and mix with some of our female pieds? What do you think?
I think you have to think the way that I function. I almost like live like 3 years ahead when I'm thinking about what I'm pairing and stuff like that. So the babies that I'll create this year, I've already thought about what I'm going to do with them once they're old enough. And that's just kind of how I do it. For the future, I'm always thinking for the future. Right. What are we gonna do in 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years?
Yeah, real quick, I'll let Billy take over after me because I'm about to go ship. I was telling Ray this the other day. I have notes for 3 to 5 years ahead of time. So, what I would tell you to take from this podcast is that, yeah, you're going to produce some of these animals. You already got to be thinking about what you're going to make with them going forward and what you're going to get, and mix into them. And you have that vision for 3 to 5 years, maybe even more than that, right? So I know Billy will probably, take from there and tell you.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on your space, your time, where you want to go, and your budget. Because sometimes you'll get into a project and you'll make stuff knowing you're going to have to buy another animal to complete it or to make it better down the road. But coming from someone that started with 20 animals and now I have several thousand, you really got to sort of, pick and choose what direction you want to go. And when you get there, you always have stuff coming. So then next year there's another direction and you can sort of add. So I would say, like, if you like clown and pied, stick to the clown and pied and have some hypo stuff in the background and then start mixing that in down the road or focusing. Because right now, behind me, most of these are triple and quad hets for the future. So what we're trying to go after, the quad het, from a quad het to quad het isn't probably going to happen. So we're going to have to make possible double hets, get them tested. I mean, it's, maybe 5 to 10 years producing the animal that it's capable of with the stuff that I just got now. And if you did that with every single combo, you'd have tens of thousands of snakes.
Right.
So you really got to decide, hey, you know what? Let me walk before I run. Let's do combo, let's get a bunch of recessives. Then let's make some double recessives in the future. When you start making double recessives, start planning for some triple recessives and keep growing in a tight sort of streamlined direction where you're not all over the place and you're trying to chase, odds that are almost impossible to hit. You want to sort of keep stacking and growing breed what you like, breed what's going to come out that you really want to see. Try to get all that together and come up with a solution.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I try to constrain for the breeding that they're coming up with is that, as much as possible, let's use what we've already created. I mean, what's cool, I think Brian, I heard you say this once on one of your shows, that the definition of a breeder is when you hatch a snake and then grow that up, and then you pair that with something else, and then that you created, and now it has eggs. So I want them to use our hatchlings as much as possible, consider those, and then we can make good decisions about what we need to sell off, and then potentially add into it. So this is all great advice. Listen, we've been on for a while, and so I want to respect your time, and I respect it. I can't believe that y'all are on this. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to just kind of close it out, and then if anybody wants to stay on, you can. But maybe at the end here, just kind of everybody just say something that you want to be left with these kiddos, and then we can close it out.
Okay.
I just want to say, sorry, go ahead, Ray.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, bro.
I was just gonna say, you're already ahead of the game, and it's amazing to see that, even if it was serendipitous and you don't know what made you walk into that classroom, but you're already ahead of the game. If you take one thing from this meeting, I would take goal setting, because it's not just applicable to breeding ball pythons, it'll be applicable to everything you're doing in life, and having a long-term goal, as Emilio said, 3-5 years down the road, and always try to have a snapshot of the direction you want to go.
Thank you. Who's next?
Oh, I'll go next.
All right.
Well, I wanted to wish you all good luck on whatever you do with, going forward. Sheer grit, determination, hard work pays off. Focus, make plans, and work for them every single day, brick by brick. It's been great to be part of your classroom today, and I wish you luck. And Joe, you're amazing, man. Great job. Yes. I love what you're doing. And Ray, great job, man, making this happen.
Hey, you helped out, bro.
And Billy, great to meet you, man. And Brian, same to you. Big fan, Billy. Keep killing it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here's all right, who's next?
I'll go. And then, because I can't go after Billy, that'll be intense.
You're making it harder because, I'm just
gonna say
one I had in my mind, and then now I got to come up with one after you guys give all yours. So
exactly. I'm trying to make it easy on myself.
Here's our ultrasound.
Awesome.
That
Hey.
right there. Yeah. So we're gonna be getting. Earl's gonna give us some. I'm
gonna do a crash course on how to operate it today. So
yeah.
I'm staying around for a while.
I'm gonna be a slow learner. I'm gonna make him do all the females.
There you go.
So if I would just say, if you want to get into breeding, don't be discouraged by watching people that have been in the industry for 20 years and compare yourself to them. Take it at your own pace. Don't put yourself in debt to get snakes that you want to get. Enjoy the process.
Reasonable debt.
Reasonable debt. Yes, you're right.
You gotta sort of push the limit a little.
A little bit, yeah. Enjoy you know what it is? It's when I say don't put yourself in debt, I'm saying don't buy a bunch of pastels, right? Like if you're gonna spend money and put yourself into debt, let it be an investment that's gonna not only give you a return on your investment, but also profits in the future. And just take your time and don't quit. Don't quit at all. And you might have a 3-year project and you're gonna go through things in life, and sometimes you might get tired and say, maybe I don't want to do this anymore, but push through that. And when you get to the goal, it's going to be that much more satisfying. That's how I feel about it.
All right.
Oh, yeah. And thank you for having me here. This is awesome.
What about you, Billy? I can't believe you're
glad to be on. I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. And what the 3 people before me said, I 100% agree with all of it. One thing that I've noticed with dealing with so many people and talking with so many people, trying to mentor as many people as I can, People think that they have to do a certain thing in order to have success or be happy or fit in. You know, if you want to have 3 ball pythons and not even breed them, that's what you want to do. That's what you do. You know, people think that they need to breed, or they have to go, they have to, you know, get better racks. They have to turn it into a business. They have to get a logo. If that's not what you want to do, follow your own path, not everybody else's. I know people that are successful doing this from their basement, not in a big facility with staff like I have. You know, my success is different than someone else's. You know, you don't have to breed. You can collect. You can enjoy. You don't have to, you know, chase the dream. You know, you can just have your own. Everybody seems to want to be like somebody else, and they lose their own focus. And I see it so much, and it's crazy. And, you know, you're chasing this and then changing plans because you're following what everyone else is doing. Just do what you want to do and enjoy it. And if you want to take that next step and move forward, then you do so. But nobody should dedicate or tell you that you're not successful when this is what makes you happy, you know, because everyone's level of success is different.
Truth.
Thank you.
Facts.
I'm gonna go ahead and close that on
Yeah,
here
yeah,
while
so-
everybody's watching.
Perfect.
So my biggest advice is for all of you. You know, if you're gonna do this and you're passionate about it, don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Make your own path. You know, there's everybody has a goal in life in one way, form, or fashion. And when you follow your dreams and push for that goal, it's a lot more satisfying than chasing somebody else's dream. So
100%.
Yeah, true story.
Yeah, 100%.
When I can sell you a $50,000 animal today, but if you took the last 6 years to make that animal, how much more gratifying would that be to you? And that's the way I've done things.
Well, I appreciate you all. I mean, you guys really don't understand, you know, the impact that you've had on me. I came to this gig with 3 snakes, a pastel, a pinstripe, and my favorite snake that I fell in love with ball pythons with was Thorin, and that's a pipe. And it was, I didn't look at any videos. I never did any of that stuff. The breeder that I got the snake from told me how to take care of it, and I did. And I started, you know, watching people just to learn a little bit more. But the kids really drove it. And you don't realize the teaching that you have done. And this is just a small little segment of the community that we've relied on and leveraged for this. Okay. So just to know that when you sign off, you know, you've made a huge impact on a lot of people. And I know that there's people all over the world that watch you, that know you, that will know you, will watch you, and learn a lot. And that impact, you're more than just breeders. Okay. You're more than just breeders. And that's important. I mean, I learned so much. I am who I am partly because of you guys as well. And so, so I just thank you for being here. My goodness, you know, I thought it'd be just a few people, but I didn't. And when I was talking to Ray about the ultrasound, man, I didn't even know that could happen. I was kind of like trying to console him because I was worried if, you know, this is not gonna happen. You know, it's okay. It's how times are hard, and you get fucked up.
Yeah, hey, if you don't make it, Ray, it's all right. Don't. I'm like, no way, man. We're getting this done no matter what. Like,
So again, I just appreciate you. I know your time is so valuable, and spending here with us and these kiddos is something they're going to remember and will remember a long time. So again, thank you so much, and we'll sign off.
nice.
Right.
Good luck on all your adventures, guys.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Everybody.
Thanks so much. See you on
Bye.
Wednesday. Bye. See you in the morning.